yarn tails, and alligators. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast of The Ordinary Maverick. This is Ajay, your host, an ordinary maverick, sharing real life thoughts and experiences and maverick tips. If you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, please do so, and you'll not miss another episode. Shopping is not my cup of tea. To be honest, I've never really enjoyed shopping unless it's focused. You go into the shops knowing what you want and then just get it. It's called targeted shopping. But most people love shopping for the sheer joy of browsing and exploring, not really having a complete picture of what they want and then coming back with stuff that they never needed in the first place. But despite all of this, one thing I do love, it's shopping with my girls, my daughters. It's super fun, and the best part is that I always come back with something stylish and what is termed as the in thing. So it was one of those days just recently when I went shopping with my younger daughter. We walk into a famous branded clothing store, and this particular brand is one of my favorites. Their clothes are just awesome. And the main reason is the fabric, just so soft and breathable as they themselves pride their stuff to be. And as I was looking through the range, I was transported to that day some months back in Dhaka, Bangladesh, where I spent an amazing day walking through the journey of a yarn from start to finish, right until the final product, which was what I was holding in my hands in the shop, was ready. The trip to a garment factory was truly one of the most memorable memories of our time in Bangladesh. Bangladesh is the second largest exporter of garments in the world, and the sector accounts for 80% of country's total export earning. In fact, in the last 7 years, Bangladesh's garment industry has increased its revenue annually from $19 billion to $34 billion, a whopping 79% rise. Wow, isn't that amazing? And what I saw that day during the visit to a garment factory proved that the country is indeed a leader in this industry. There are approximately 462,000 garment factories in Bangladesh, and the competitive labor cost and large exports of ready-made garments make the country a key player in global fashion sourcing. Although there are challenges with the industry that employs close to 4 million people, with 85% of them being women, mainly with work conditions and low wages. Work is going on to address these issues, and I must say, the factory we visited was setting an example of sorts with the work conditions and support with medical care and even education. Coming back to the yarn, it's a fascinating fabric. Basically, yarn is a long, continuous length of interlocked fibers suitable for use in the production of textiles, sewing, crocheting, knitting, weaving, embroidery, or rope making. The journey starts with raw cotton. A lot of cotton comes from India. The raw cotton is then taken through an intense process with several steps and spun into a fine yarn for mechanical weaving or knitting into cloth. I wasn't sure, but there are several types of yarn based on how the spinning is done. So you have spun yarn, corded and combed yarn, hosiery yarn, open-end yarn, novelty yarn, filament yarn, and texturized yarn. Quite something, huh? And such a wide variety of clothes, utility items like bags, shawls, jeans, etc., are made from yarn. As we went through all the different steps in the factory, we experienced firsthand the immense work that goes into producing yarn from scratch. The factory was set up just too well, with all the required machines and equipment to color the yarn, emboss it, embroider different designs, basically do just whatever the design commands and ensure the final product is sale worthy. In fact, there was a button producing unit as well that could produce buttons of all shapes and sizes and colors, including embossed with brand names if needed, and a labels and plastic wrapping captive unit too. It was amazing to see that everything from start to finish was in-house and it all flowed seamlessly together, ensuring the readiness of the final product. And what an array of products! All the brands that one finds in stores worldwide were seen there. And then there was a huge quality control department. Gosh, that was a whole different thing, with a lab to test colors and the quality of the yarn and quality assurance in every step in every unit. Again, ensuring that only the flawless got through was fascinating to see and experience. It was a sneak peek, a behind the scenes tour, as the factory was owned by a friend who kindly spent the day patiently answering all our questions. We were absolutely goggle eyed while we were at the factory, I must say. We came away that day a lot wiser on yarn. And I have to admit, experiencing something totally new gave the feeling that's so upbeat. The visit to the garment factory, and particularly the yarn bit, will remain etched in our minds forever. Besides experiencing the entire yarn and its a journey, the best part was our friend laid down a complete table of finished products in our sizes and asked us just to pick as many and as much we wanted to take back home. And it was all on the house. Fellow Mavericks, I want to emphasize this part of experiencing new things and keeping the curiosity alive at all times. I mean, just see, we got talking to friends over dinner, realized there was an opportunity to learn more about the garment sector and yarn specifically, and jumped whole hog into it. Didn't hesitate when offered a visit and came back enriched with new knowledge. New things keep life interesting and give us a sense of purpose, and one discovers new things about oneself and about the world at large. It's one of the ways to bring in happiness in your lives and get away from the routine, the mundane, and just spice it up. It also brings in new ways of thinking. That day at the yarn factory, the importance of rigor, of quality control came through so clearly. I mean, each garment went through such intense process of clearance, and it's humbling to see what all goes into each item of the clothing that we see in the stores. It's easy to walk into a store and buy something in a flash. But to know that each piece was created from scratch, went through several steps, several hands and machines with intense quality control gives it a whole new dimension. Ever grateful to our dear friend for spending the day with us, patiently answering all the questions and helping us understand the yarn journey from the raw cotton to the finished product. Speaking of new experiences, reminds me of the time when we went alligator hunting in the Amazon. Yes, you heard it right. Alligator hunting. A few years back, my wife and I planned this once in a lifetime experience to the Amazon. It was one of those bucket list trips. We sailed out into the Amazon on a boat away from it all for a few days. The result? A trip of a lifetime. And during that trip, the captain of the boat gave us a night sailing experience. Or shall I say, a night hunting experience. We set out towards evening time in the little canoes into the inner rivers of the Amazon. It's an intricate web of rivers and streams that all intersect and ultimately connect to the Amazon itself. The timing for the alligator hunting was critical as the sun sets and dusk settles in. The alligators kind of line up by the banks coming in to hunt for food. In the pitch darkness, it was eerie. I mean, just imagine, here we were on this canoe, the captain, a helper, my wife, and I, rowing in the river with just the river sounds and the sounds of animals and birds. And then, when the captain flashed a torchlight, a powerful one could see the eyes glowing along the river banks. They were like, little fairy lights all along the banks. These actually were the alligators of all sizes and shapes. So, in alligator hunting, one goes up quietly in the boat to the bank, gets close, and then flashes the torchlight suddenly on the alligator. With that sudden light in pitch darkness, the alligator gets kind of stunned and kind of paralyzed. Doesn't know what's happening. And it's in that split second, one quickly grabs the alligator by the neck and catches it. See, that's important too. Catching the neck ensures the alligator is not able to bite. Otherwise, one risks a lockjaw situation where the alligator's jaws lock into your arm or your hand, and one needs to either kill it or find some instrument to open and free your hand from the tight lock. We definitely didn't want to kill any alligators. The idea was to hunt them, catch them, hold them, and then release them back into the river. Our captain approached the bank and we waited with bated breath. And then suddenly we had a jumping alligator in our boat held by the neck. The captain then offered to transfer the alligator to me and asked if I would like to hold it. Now remember, one wrong move and the alligator's jaw snaps into your arm or hand and doesn't let it go. And we were miles away from any hospital or medical aid. Here's where my new experience, the maverick quality, came in. I was just like, it's now or never. I mean, when am I ever going to return to the Amazon for this experience? So I said, I'm in, and went up to the captain, who gave explicit instructions, and just like that in a flash, I was holding the alligator by the neck. I did well, as my hands were intact. It was an experience I shall never forget. And then we released the alligator back into the river. So, fellow Mavericks, embrace the new experiences. And here's a double benefit. With all the new experiences coming your way, you'll be happier and richer, but also you will gather lots of stories to share and maybe get inspired to do a podcast too. Do keep writing your comments and sharing your feedback via our Instagram at The Ordinary Maverick or through our hashtag The Ordinary Maverick. I love hearing from you. This is Ajay signing off and wishing you have an amazing day, a super amazing year. Keep well, stay safe. Credits. This podcast series was put together as a team effort from the Bhardwaj family. Concept, design, title, researchers and reviewers Ajay, Sanjana, Avantika and Niharika Bhardwaj. Script Sanjana. Cover design Niharika. All rights reserved.